Today's lesson is the next EOC lesson, which is lesson 20 over arithmetic sequences. This lesson can be challenging if you don't pay attention. So please, please, please pay attention and take good notes. Once you get the basics of it, it's super easy. The biggest issue is that the STAR test does not give you, on your reference materials, it doesn't give you this formula. So we will work on memorizing this formula before you take your EOC. All right, I lost my good red pen. Oh. Here we go. An arithmetic sequence. Write that down. Arithmetic sequence is where each term is found by adding a fixed number called the common difference to the previous term. An arithmetic sequence is where each term is found by adding a fixed number called the common difference to the previous term. Okay, so basically, what are we learning today? When y'all are in elementary school, you guys learn sequences, right? Like 2, 4, 6, 8 is a sequence. What are they doing? No, what are they doing? They're adding 2 every single time. And so that's what an arithmetic sequence is. It's a sequence of numbers that keeps going forever and ever and ever, and they're adding the same number every single time. Does that make sense? So right here, it says find the common difference. What are they counting by here? Or not what are they counting by? What are they adding each time? So the common difference would be 2. How do you find the common difference? What you do is you take the term to the right, and this makes a big difference because when we get into negatives and stuff, you need to understand. You take the term to the right and subtract it from the term to the left. So I did 5 minus 3, so what they did is added 2. 7 minus 5, they added 2. Does that make sense? To be an arithmetic sequence, you must add the same thing every single time. Easy? Super easy. But what makes this an algebra lesson is that these mathematicians figured out a formula for this. And the formula is this. It looks really hard, but it's not. It's A sub n equals A sub 1 plus, open parentheses, n minus 1, close parentheses, times d. And I'll go over what each piece means, and it really isn't that hard. I promise, promise, promise. Now, the problem is on the EOC, they don't give you this formula on your star chart, which kind of is not fun. So we're going to have to memorize this, okay? All right. This number right here is basically your answer. So they're saying to solve for the answer, do that. So that's your answer. This number is the first term in the sequence. So whatever number they started with first, that's what that number is. This piece right here is the number that you're looking for. And y'all know I make a little hashtag sign to stand for number. It's the number you're looking for. And then what do y'all think D stands for? We just learned it. Look at the top of your notes. The common difference. This is the common difference. Now, the cool thing about these questions is a lot of these you can figure it out without this formula. The problem is when they ask for something hard, like what would the 250th term be? Then you don't want to sit there and do that 250 times. You want to know this formula. Does that make sense? And that's why they came up with this formula. Okay, so our first example is this list of numbers. They want you to come up with the next three numbers. So what are you going to do to figure out what's going on? Yes, I'm going to do what? What am I going to subtract?
3.
Okay, well, but tell me, which way do I subtract? I have to do 22 minus 25. Okay, I got to go this way to this way. So what are they doing? They're adding -3 every single time. Now, I could just say, hey, they're subtracting 3, right? But arithmetic sequences are based on the fact that they're adding. So we would say they're adding a negative. Okay? So how would I find this next term? Yeah, just add -3. So it would be 13, because 6 plus -3. 13 plus -3 is? And 10 plus -3 is? Now, why do I want this stupid long formula when I can just count? The reason is they might ask for the 20th term. And I'd have to go write it out 20 times, which can take a long time if I wanted to write it out 3,000 times. So that's where this formula comes in handy. So to use this, you would write a formula. Okay? Now, everybody look. What was their starting number?
25.
That's the first term. This is the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I could keep going until I get to the 20th time, couldn't I? And if you get to your EOC test and you just lose your brain and you're like, man, I don't know that formula, then just go do it the long way. Okay? But the point of today's lesson is to teach you algebraically this formula that they figured out. Okay? So we want to know the 20th term. So we're going to use this formula. So my answer is going to be found by doing what? What do I got to write down? What's the first term that they wrote?
25.
So I got 25. What's the next thing? Plus, open parentheses. This is the number you're looking for. It's the term. So what term am I going to plug in right there? 20 minus 1, close parentheses, times the common difference that I found. What was the common difference? And that will give me the 20th term. So you go to your calculator and you type that in exactly how you see it. So 25 plus, open parentheses, 20 minus 1, close parentheses, times -3. So what is my 20th term? -32. It's not hard, is it? It's just kind of playing around with it till you get comfortable with it. All right, the next question wants us to use the same sequence to find the 32nd term. Do y'all want to try it on your own? I want you to write what you're plugging into that formula. Go write it down. Okay, let's talk about what you should have written. So my formula says put the first term here. What's the first term? Guys, the first term will never change if you're doing the same sequence, okay? Plus, the only thing that's going to change is the number right here that we're looking for. So what should I put here? 32 minus 1 times -3. And what did y'all get for your answer? -68. Perfect. Easy or hard? I think it's pretty easy. It's just kind of confusing when you're kind of learning it. All right, next example. In a certain arithmetic sequence, each term is found by subtracting 4.5. What did they just give me? They gave me the common difference. So what is my common difference? Yeah, if you said 4.5, it's wrong. What is my common difference? Negative 4.5. So how did I get that negative? Because it said subtracting. Then they told me the first term is 10. Did they just give me everything I need to solve whatever I want? Because all I need is this number and this number. And I can find any term. I can find the first term, second term, third term. I can find whatever I want, right? All right, here we go. What is the 9th term? So I'm going to write down the pieces of the formula that I need. The formula says write the first term. Did they give me the first term? Yes. So I'm going to write 10 plus, open parentheses, what's the term we're looking for? The 9th term, and then minus 1, close parentheses, times the common difference. What's the common difference? Negative 4.5. So that's what I'm going to plug into my calculator. Did everybody get negative 26? Okay, do the last two on your own. I want you to write what you're typing in your calculator. That way if you miss it, you can compare it with mine. And then check your answers with mine. Check your answers with mine, and while you check, I'm going to, we're not even going to do that example on the back because I think it's messed up. So don't even worry about the back example. Okay, I'm going to pass out the assignment. I would rather go over a problem in each section with you guys than do that last example. If you're not finished with these two on your own, then keep going. Make sure you understand it while I'm passing these out. Okay, did everybody get the correct answers? And if you didn't, did you check what you did wrong with the way I set it up? Okay, your homework tonight. Now, if you're at home, your homework is already in the Google Classroom. I might have put it in backwards, so I want you to go to this part first. Your homework tonight is pretty simple on the EOC, but let's talk about it. The first 6 questions have 2 answers. How many answers, guys? 2. Okay, it says determine if the sequence is arithmetic. So how would you write that answer? Yes or no? If yes, you're going to have 2 answers. If yes, tell what the common difference is. Okay, if no, then your answer is just going to be no. Okay, so how am I going to do this? Let's do number 1. Let's do number 4. Let's do number 4 together. To find the common difference, what do? Subtract the right number from the left number. So I would go to my calculator and I would do negative 40 minus what? Negative 40, not minus 30. Negative 40 minus negative 30. And my common difference is negative 10. If it's arithmetic, I must get the same number every time I subtract. So my next one I'm going to do is negative 50 minus negative 40. And I also got negative 10. And then I would do it one more time, and I also got negative 10. Since they added the same number each time, my answer is yes, this is arithmetic. And my common difference, my D, is negative 10. Two answers. Now, I need to talk to you guys about 7 through 14. And it wasn't on your notes. Okay, so we need to talk about it. Look at number 7 through 10's formula. Does it look like the formula we learned on your notes? No. This is called the explicit formula. It is the exact same formula. The only difference is they did distributive property already. So if you want on your notes, write the explicit formula is when they already used distributive property, period. So do y'all see how this D is being multiplied by those parentheses? Do y'all see that? Do y'all know that you can use distributive property? It would be D times N and D times negative 1. Yes or no? So the explicit formula, they're not going to give it to you like this. It's almost going to be like this. A to the sub 1 plus D times N minus 1 times D, and then they combine those two numbers. So just follow the formula that they gave you. Okay? You don't have to write that part. I was just showing you all the distributive property. Okay, so everybody look. It says, given the explicit formula, they gave it to you. They want you to find the first 5 terms and the terms named in the problem. So they gave you the formula. They want you to find the first 5 terms. So this is going to be the first term. This is going to be what? The second. This is going to be the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And then down here they want me to find the, come on, the 34th term. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to plug in 1 for N, 2 for N, 3 for N, 4 for N, 5 for N, and then lastly I'm going to plug in 34 for N. So guys, it's very easy. Okay, so let's do it. So for the first term, I'm going to do negative 11 plus 7 times 1, because 1 is my first term. So what is my first term? Negative 4. Now I'm going to plug in 2 for the N and find what the second term is. Negative 11 plus 7 times 2. What did I get? 3.
Can you go to y equals and put that in?
No. Could you? Yeah, you could. But it wouldn't work on everything, so I'd rather you do it. Okay, so keep going. I mean, yeah, it works on these types, but not when the formula looks the other way. Did y'all get the third term is 10, the fourth term is 17, and the fifth term is 24? Okay, then the 34th term, what'd y'all get? 227. Okay, those are easy, right? Now when you get to the bottom, we need to go do an example of that one. This one says they didn't give you the explicit formula. They gave you the first term. So this is the first term. Write that down. And they gave you they want you to write the explicit formula. So that's what I'm going to teach you how to do right now. So make sure you're paying attention. Okay, what is the first term?
28.
Okay, plus what is, what am I doing? Oh, so then I would have I just totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, so let me see, because the way I did it here was different, but I think I just did it in my head. So I would have my open parentheses, my number minus 1 times, what's my D going to be?
10.
Okay, so what you're going to do here is you're going to distribute that 10. Does that make sense? You're going to distribute it here and here. So I have 28 plus, what's 10 times in?
10.
And what's 10 times negative 1?
Negative 10.
Okay, can I combine like terms? Right there? And 28 minus 10 is? So my explicit formula is that. Find the explicit formula first. Okay, now can I use that explicit formula to solve for the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth term? Does that make sense? So you write the formula and then just distribute the D to the parentheses. And then combine like terms, and that's your explicit formula. Are y'all good? Now, when you get to this page, you're only going to do the evens. Okay, I'll have to go back to it because we're losing time. I will. Remind me, okay? Okay, you're only going to do the evens. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and so forth. Now, what I'm going to tell you is the top part is just like yesterday. Your answer will be yes or no. But when you get to this section, your answer needs to be an ordered pair. I mean, like literally, that's your answer right here. You would write, so for example, on number 7, my answer would be, here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. So on the x-axis, I'm at 3, negative 5. That would be my answer.
Can we do Oscar extra credit?
Not on this one. I think for the word problem, yes. Okay, turn to the back. Some of these didn't print good. Number 16's fine, but 18's hard to see. So if you can't see it, I'm going to tell you what it says. It says negative 9x plus 6y equals negative 6. And then that bottom equation is 2x minus 3y equals 8. And I'm going to tell y'all this. To solve these, you're going to want to put them in your calculator. So I'm going to show y'all number 17. I rearranged the equation, and I got this. Y equals 6x plus 33, and y equals 1/4 x plus 4.25. I rearranged these equations to y equals. Okay? I didn't go try to do rise over run. Look what they're counting by. Y'all see they're counting by 5s? And this rise is 6. Like, it's not going to work out pretty. So I went to my calculator to y equals, and I typed that in. 6x plus 33, and then I went to y2 and I typed in 1/4 x plus 4.25. And then I went to second trace option 5. I waited for it to graph, and I hit enter, 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 and that's my answer.
So we don't have to put it on the graph?
You do need to put it on the graph, but watch what I did. So here's my answer. -5, 3. That's my answer. Then to graph it, I went to the table. The blue one's the table for the first one, and the red one, y'all's won't be colored because y'all's calculators are different than mine. But this is your x and your y for your first one. This is your x and your y for your second one. The x's are always the same because it's just counting by ones, right? So for example, if I wanted to graph this, for my first one, I graphed here. I have a point at -5, 3, so I go here, and it's probably like there. And then I have a point at 0, 33, so it's like there. And I put a line. You only need 2 dots to make a line. And then for my second one, I did it in a different color. Do y'all see the answer right there? When x is -5, they're both at... Yeah, so you can also see the answer in your table if it's a whole number or an integer.
Do we have to graph?
Yes, you're going to graph it. But your graph can come straight from your coordinates, like this table. So I have a point here. So obviously that's my answer. And then I need another point. I'll do 3, 5. And so that's what my graph's going to look like. So it just makes life easier to go do it in my calculator than trying to sit there and do rise over run when it doesn't work for the numbers they gave me. Are y'all good? So you are responsible for number 22's word problem, and if you do 23, it's extra credit. It's kind of hard. 22 is easier. All right, you have some time to work on this, so get busy.